For this video, we are going over one of the most common lifts I see. I see it done in waltzes and in cabarets and everywhere. This is probably one of the most common lifts you'll see if you do any sort of ballroom or other lift or variations of it. It's very, very common. It's called tabletop, and we're going to go over that for you today. So we're just going to show you what it looks like, then we'll break everything down for you. Getting into it is one of the most important parts of it because it sets everything else up. So if you do it right, you're set up for success. Gentlemen, your part is obviously you have to have your knees, your legs separated, have a nice base, and then you need to be squatted down. Make sure your knees are bent, and the amount you have to go down depends on how tall your girl is. And basically what you have to do is you kind of have to bend over, lean to the side a little bit, and then you're putting your right arm, or whatever she has to say on, this dice we're doing right, so it'll be the right arm, is going basically right where her hips are, maybe slightly above that. But right around where her hips are, that's her balance point. It's the easiest place for her to be, and it's going to hurt her back a lot less if that's where you're picking up. And again, so you're coming all the way around. Don't try to get her just on your forearm, but you're balancing her on your upper arm and your lower arm. So basically when I do it, I get in close enough to where her side is basically right against my shoulder, and that's where I'm going to be lifting from. It's the easiest place to lift. It's also the easiest to hold. Otherwise you're using just your bicep to hold it up, and that becomes very difficult. Also, with your left arm, gentlemen, you have to move that out of the way. So I have it up and out so she can hook her arm underneath. And ladies, you are actually hooking underneath that arm, grabbing his shoulder and pulling down on his shoulder to help support yourself. Ladies, as you start to go into the air, you actually have to lay back into this. So you're laying back at the same time you're still pulling on that shoulder to support yourself. It makes it a lot easier on the gentleman. And then gentlemen, what you do is you don't lift straight up and then rotate around. You're in that position, you actually come up and to the side, so it's up to the side at an angle. Think like a 45-degree angle coming up and moving to the side at the same time. That's going to be the easiest and the smoothest way to do it, and that way it doesn't put added pressure on the lady's back as she tends to fall a little bit if you just stand straight up. There's a lot of variations with the legs. We're not going to worry about that for you ladies. Just do whatever you can with the legs that keeps you balanced, and that's fine. Alright, gentlemen, we're going to go over 3 different variations with the arms throughout this sequence. The first one is your arm, your left arm, different variation with your left arm. It's straight out to your side. Make sure that your shoulder isn't up and like you're shrugging your shoulders, but bring it down. And make sure it's down straight out to the side, your fingers straight as well. The other variation is you're going to put it behind your back so that your elbow is kind of bent. And the third variation is that you have it underneath and supporting the girl's upper back as well. If it's the first few times you've done this, it's probably a good idea to have it on the lady's back. If the lady hasn't done it before, have it on her back so that she's more comfortable and she feels more supported when you do it. Ladies, your head is looking out towards your arm that is out extended at your side. So you can see her right arm is out at her side, and then her head is looking towards her arm. It's that one other way to do it. There are other variations with arms. You can also put it over your head, and same thing with your head. You're looking towards that extended arm. So I get kind of bored just doing the lifts, going into a lift without some kind of introduction, some kind of lead into it. So that's what we're going to teach you how to spin into a tabletop from the ground, and it just makes it look so much more cool and fluid. Alright, to spin in from the side, again you're going to stand at each other's side, and you're going to grab the hand that's closest to you, and then what you do is you lead her into an underarm turn that goes outside of the bodies. So if it's, rather than coming in towards your center line, you're going out away from your center line. Lift that arm up, spin her around, and as she comes to where her side is going to face you, then you kind of take your other hand, in this case it's the right hand, I'm going to move it across her back and then slide into the position I need to. At the same time I'm lowering. As I lift that up and I step forward, I'm also going into my kind of squatted, lowering myself and sliding my arm into the position it needs to be in, and that way I can take it up. My left hand, as I spin her up, it's up over her head, it stays there, and I actually let go of her hand, and then I leave my hand up. That way she can actually hook her arm around my shoulder, and then it just works really well. And then after that, obviously we're going to come down, and we'll teach you that in a little bit. So when this lift is ending, ladies, you kind of feel yourself start to get lower and lower towards the ground, and that's when you need to kind of start putting your legs out underneath you to help yourself stand up. And obviously what you're going to do is you're going to reach a little, don't overextend your back, but reach towards the ground. Gentlemen, you have to lower yourself enough and bend your knees enough so that the lady's feet touch the floor. Alright, so she touches the floor, and then what you have to make sure you do is as you continue to spin, you're going to bring her upper body up over her lower body. If you just let her go once her feet touch the floor, she's going to fall down because she's laying in a horizontal position. So her feet touch the floor, then you help her upper body underneath her feet, and that way she can stand up and walk out of it. One last word of caution for the ladies, you have to let yourself lay back. If you crunch inward, then we as gentlemen can't hold you up because we don't have anything to support you with. So make sure you lay backwards. If you're nervous about it, have the guy use 2 hands or use a spotter, whatever you need. And that'll make this lift really, really nice and easy. I hope you enjoyed the video. Let me know if you have comments or questions.